Slanting attacks make a counteroffensive difficult.
So Space Marine 2 is finally here after 13 years. Well, it's here in early access. I mean, if you pay the extra ched. But it's finally here, and I've played about 4 hours of it, of predominantly just the campaign. Now, I am aware that there's only 6 missions in the campaign, and 7 if you include the prologue. However, the missions are quite lengthy, so I'm going to guess, because I'm around about halfway through it, that the game's probably about 7-ish hours long, potentially, which is pretty much the exact same length as the first game, which I could do with it being a little longer, but it's not the end of the world. I prefer something around 8 hours that is packing a punch, and so far the game is definitely packing a punch. It does pick up the story from the first game with Titus, who's not captain anymore. He is now just a lieutenant, and yes, that's how we say it in Britain, lieutenant, not lieutenant. And yeah, he's just trying to go about his business, prove he's not a heretic, and yeah, I'm not going to give no story or anything away. All I will say from this first impressions video is that the game looks great. And it plays great. It's really, really well done. It's quite well polished. There are some bits here and there, but again, it's in early access. It's not day one of its official release, and I'm fairly certain that Saber Interactive will be all over it because they want this game to succeed in the after sales market in terms of supporting the game, sort of ish like a live service, but they're doing it so far well. Now, Helldivers started off doing it well, so we'll just see how it goes. Now, the combat is intense and addictive and as awesome as the first game, but improved upon, with many different executions for even one of the Tyranids, which is pretty cool. So you don't have the same execution for the same Tyranid. There's like 2 or 3 I've seen so far per Tyranid, which is pretty cool. There, instead of the servitor skulls to collect, there are now data slates to collect. I think that's about 30 to 35 of them, I believe. Now, the weapons do feel good, although some of them do feel useless. I will be honest. Although the plasma pistol is my favourite one at the minute. You can charge up the shot on that and just take people's heads off. It's very, very very powerful. But most of the time, the weapons do feel really good, and the sheer amount of Tyranids that come onto the screen it's really fun to just shoot the living crap out of them or slash them, if that's what you want to do. The attention to detail is also really, really good. The world, the environment, the atmosphere, everything looks really good. Very, very well done. So that's always a plus, because there's nothing worse than being in a game world that's just kind of bland and boring. That is not what Space Marine 2 is. Space Marine 2 has a very cool... the level design is very, very good. Now, the story does start with Titus in the Death Watch, which I thought was incredibly awesome. Now, you can choose to play with Titus's helmet off, or he can keep it on. I keep the helmet on because I like to pretend I'm that Space Marine and run around and shoot things, which is I think a lot of people do. But you can play with his helmet off, and to see the Death Watch and the armors in general just look fantastic, and the Tyranids themselves look awesome. Now, all of that out the way, I have played one of the operations modes with my brother. We did have some connection issues. He disconnected after the mission, and it got a bit peculiar as well with the random in there too. And I got disconnected from the server. So it is early access though, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. So there is that. It does also This is a problem I have, not just with Space Marine 2, but with all games that are releasing in early access and releasing in general. When you say your game is releasing on the 5th of September, why in the United Kingdom do we not get it until 5 PM, so we get 7 hours of that first day of early access? That is wank. That's dog wank. We should be able to have it from midnight. I'm not pointing any fingers, but all I'm saying is a lot of people are giving Star Wars Outlaws shit, but Star Wars Outlaws unlocked at midnight the first day of its early access. That's how you do an early access release. Full day access to start with. Don't... Because we were all I booked the day off of work. I got today off of work as well, but I booked the day off of work to play it, and I couldn't play it till 5 o'clock. I mean, it was all cool. I watched Tropic Thunder and played some Avatar, so it wasn't actually a bad day. But that's beside the point. I want to be able to play the game I paid for early access on the day of its early access, but some games also do that with their full release. They come out and they're not available until 5, 6, 7 p.m. That's bullshit. I don't care. It always used to be midnight. Always. I don't know why it's ever since COVID. I don't know why it's changed, but change it back for the love of God. Now, Space Marine 2 does also suffer from some random frame drops here and there, even though it shouldn't. My rig is more than powerful enough to run this game at max. I get between, depending on what's going on in the environment, it does drop down sometimes. It can go into the 40s, and that's even with DLSS on, and I've turned shadows down, and etc. So I think there's a patch needed here and there for that. However, for the most part, it runs incredibly well, and there's nothing really dramatic. And my brother, who I was playing with, he said that he was playing on performance mode on his Xbox Series X, and he said that there was some random frame drops on performance mode where it was bouncing around down into the 40s as well. So I don't think it's my rig. And there's also some really gnarly frame drops in the opening cutscenes to the game as well, and I checked the Steam community forum, and it wasn't just me. There's a lot of people just couldn't watch the intro cinematic because it just froze. So again, early access, I don't know. And the friendly AI are thick as shit. When you're playing through the campaign, there are certain moments where you need to do certain things, like make sure the enemy are not attacking a specific objective, or you have to pull some levers or do some stuff, but you need your squad to help you. They don't help you. They just go off and they're just doing their own thing, and you just get savaged by Tyranids. Now, it's frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. The ally AI is just outright thick as shit. And the final negative I have for the game, which these are nitpicky negatives, okay? I absolutely love Space Marine 2, and I'm going to be playing the crap out of it, but there are some graphical flickers here and there, some graphical glitches where it just kind of goes a bit bizarre for a second, or a flash on the entire screen, a flash as if I can see through the ground and that kind of... So it's nothing terrible, nothing bad at all in the slightest. But all that aside, is Space Marine 2 worth picking up? 100% yes. This is a fantastic game. I would advise getting the first game as well, because the first game is still really, really good. The second game takes everything about the first game and just improves upon it. And for all of those absolute numbnuts out there that I keep seeing that are saying that they're just copying Helldivers, they are not. Warhammer 40k was created in the late 80s over here in Great Britain. It's not copying Helldivers. Helldivers is fan fiction of Starship Troopers, predominantly mixed with a fan fiction of Warhammer 40k. And if you haven't watched Starship Troopers from 1997, go and watch it. It's like one of my favourite films, but it flopped at the box office. I don't know why. That game is... the game comes out next month. The film is damn awesome, but this is not a copy of Gears of War. You don't take cover. I mean, you can walk behind cover in Space Marine 2, but you are a Space Marine. You are a superhuman. You don't need to. You're right there in big-ass armor annihilating Xenos. That's what your job is. This is not a Gears of War clone. This is not a Helldivers clone. Get your head out your ass, for the love of God. The amount of people I see type in all these different, even on YouTube trailers or in the forums, and going, oh, they're just copying this. No, they're not. The first game for this came out 13 years ago. Before even the first Helldivers came out, I believe. So, please, just shh. Google is your friend. Google is your friend. But, there you go. Space Marine 2 is definitely worth the bash. The PvE stuff is really cool. The combat is really fun. The core gameplay loop is really, really fun. Is this something I could see myself playing all day, every day for 8 hours? I will be honest, no. You could become oversaturated with the gameplay, and you have the potential to get bored. That's the same with absolutely anything. I love me some Final Fantasy VII, I love me some Witcher 3, I love me some Cyberpunk, but if I play too much of something, I will get bored. So to not burn myself out, I will play a lot of this, and then I'll put it down. I'll play another game, and then I'll wait for the new seasons to drop, and I will return to it and play it. Some people are different. Some people might make this game their entire personality. That also does happen, 100%. But I won't be doing that. I haven't tried the PvP yet. I've always said in my videos, PvP for me is more of a back burner kind of thing for me, but I will check it out soon. And the gameplay you're seeing was captured on my from my computer, and is only the first mission of the game anyway, so you're not going to be spoiled much for anything. But you do visit 3 planets in total in the story, and there's 6 main missions, and there's 6 PvE operations missions which tie into the story. So technically you have 12 levels to the game. So it is good, it is a lot of fun, and I just want to go back and continue playing it. But please let me know in the comments down below if you have checked out Space Marine 2, and as always, thank you very much for watching.